Hello guys, this is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel Balance MBBS. Today we are going to study a new topic, that is shoulder joint. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Today's our topic is shoulder joint. So shoulder joint. Shoulder joint is also called the glenohumeral joint. Why this joint is called glenohumeral joint? We will get the answer in the formation of the shoulder joint. Firstly, the shoulder joint is called the glenohumeral joint, in Latin articulatio humeri. In Latin articulatio humeri. Now we come to the formation of the shoulder joint. The shoulder joint is formed by the two articular surfaces. How many? Two. Firstly, the head of the humerus, that is the caput humeri, that is spherical in shape. Then we have the second articular surface, that is glenoid cavity of the scapula, that is shallow. That is the humerus and the glenoid cavity of the scapula, like this. So this is spherical and this is shallow, means there is space, like this. Now you can see the surfaces. First, this second. This is the head of the humerus. The head of the humerus is still the anatomical neck of the humerus. And this is the glenoid cavity of the scapula. In the glenoid cavity of the scapula, the head of the humerus articulates. Hence, the shoulder joint is formed by the two articular surfaces, the head of the humerus and the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Here are some parts of the scapula. Till now you have studied the one part of the scapula, that is glenoid cavity. There are also two processes in the scapula, that is the coracoid process of the scapula and the acromion process of the scapula. The scapula has superior border, medial border, and the last lateral border. Now angles of the scapula. It has a superior angle, inferior angle, and lateral. Now here you can also see the joint of that shoulder joint, glenoid humerus head. Here you can see this, the articular head or the caput humeri is spherical, but the size of this head is very large. But the size of this glenoid cavity is small. So this is the reason why most of the injuries in the shoulder occur due to the dislocation of the head of the humerus from the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Till now we have studied the formation of the shoulder joint. Now the next topic in this video is the characteristics of the shoulder joint. Firstly, the shoulder joint is a simple joint, or the articulatio simplex. Why this is shoulder joint a simplex joint? Because this joint has two articular surface. Firstly, the head of the humerus, and secondly, the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Secondly, this joint is also called the complex joint. Why? Because this joint has the cartilaginous glenoid lip. In Latin, that is called labrum glenoidale. Here you can see the glenoid cavity. This is the glenoid cavity where the head of the humerus joins. Around this cavity we have the labrum glenoide. Here it is the labrum glenoide, and from outside we have the articular capsule, that is capsula articularis. So the articular surface, that are the two, are covered by the hyaline cartilage, but the labrum glenoide, this labrum, is covered by which cartilage? The fibrocartilage. Don't mix match. The articular surface is covered by the hyaline cartilage and the labrum glenoide is covered by the fibrocartilage. Now, in the lower classes, you have also studied that the shoulder joint is called ball and socket joint. So, also here the shoulder joint is called ball and socket joint, or in Latin, the articulatio spheroidea. Now, the main important point in the shoulder joint is about the articular capsule. The articular capsule of the shoulder joint is free and thin. Is free and thin. This is the main point. And this question can arise in your exam. So remember this point. You can see here the articular capsule. Come to the next topic of this video is the ligaments of the shoulder joint. So there are three ligaments, that is the coracohumeral ligament, glenohumeral ligament and the transverse humeral ligament. Three ligaments: coracohumeral, glenohumeral and the transverse humeral ligament. Firstly, the glenohumeral and transverse humeral ligaments are the capsular ligament. That means these ligaments are on the articular capsule. Why these ligaments are called capsular ligament? Because these ligaments are on articular capsule. Now, the coracohumeral ligament, it is an accessory ligament of the shoulder joint and main important ligament of the shoulder joint. In later on in the video, I will tell about why this ligament is very important. Now you can see in the diagram the different type of ligaments that are present in the shoulder joint. Firstly, coracohumeral ligament. This is the coracohumeral ligament. This is transverse humeral ligament. Now, in the glenohumeral ligament, there are three ligaments. How many? Three. Firstly, superior glenohumeral ligament. Secondly, middle glenohumeral ligament. And the last is the inferior glenohumeral ligament. So this is the superior glenohumeral ligament. This is the middle glenohumeral ligament. And lastly, the inferior glenohumeral ligament. We will study about the details of these ligaments. Firstly, the transverse humeral ligament. These ligaments are present between the tubercles of the humerus. There are two tubercles on the humerus, the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. And this covers the intertubercle sulcus. How the sulcus is formed? See, this is the greater tubercle, this is the greater and this is the lesser. So the space between these tubercles forms the intertubercle sulcus. And these sulcus are covered by, you can see here, they are covered by transverse humeral ligament. This ligament covers the long head of biceps brachii. Why this cover and what is the use of this ligament here? Firstly, the function here is it prevents the displacement of the tendon from the sulcus. The long head of the biceps brachii in the sulcus is prevented from the displacement by transverse humeral ligament. Here, this is the long head of biceps brachii, this long head, and here it is the transverse humeral ligament. It is present in where? Between the two tubercles, like this. Here are the two tubercles. Between these tubercles is the sulcus. and in the sulcus the ligament is present. The second ligament, the glenohumeral ligament. In the earlier, we have studied that the glenohumeral ligament consists of three ligaments: the superior, the middle, and the inferior. These ligaments support the joint from the anterior and inferior side. Anterior and inferior, you can see in the picture. Anterior, this is the anterior view. So anterior view, so here these three joints are in the inferior side. That's why these support the joint. They support the joint in the anterior inferior side. They have weak stabilizing function and acting to limit the maximum amplitude of certain arm movements. Now separately we will study about the three ligaments that are included in the glenohumeral ligament. Superior glenohumeral ligament. These extend from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula and attaches to the lesser tubercle of the humerus. Supraglenoid tubercle of scapula. We have studied the scapula on the above. Here it is the inferior glenoid tubercle. So behind this coraco we have the superior glenoid tubercle behind this coracoid process. Now the middle glenohumeral ligament. This ligament attaches to the anterior glenoid margin of the scapula. Anterior glenoid margin. Like we have this glenoid cavity. So anterior margin like this here. And attaches to the lesser tubercle of the humerus. The last ligament of the glenohumeral ligament. This ligament extends between the glenoid labrum or the labrum glenoideae and attaches to the inferior medial part of the neck. And the inferior glenohumeral ligament is one of the strongest ligament of the above three glenohumeral ligament. The last ligament of the shoulder joint and the most important is the coracohumeral ligament. This ligament extends from the coracoid process of the scapula to the tubercles of the humerus. In the picture you can see that it extends from the coracoid process of the scapula. Here, this is the coracoid process. This is the coracoid process of the humerus. And it extends till the tubercle of the humerus here. Tubercle. This ligament supports the joint from the superior side. Superior. And this joint acts to limit the inferior translation and excessive external rotation of the humerus. Bursas of the shoulder joint. So there are four bursas that are present in the shoulder joint: the subdeltoid bursa, subacromial bursa, subscapular bursa, and the last subcoracoid bursa. Here, subdeltoid bursa, it is present between the joint capsule and the deltoid muscle. The subscapular or the subacromial bursa is present between the capsule and the acromion. Subcoracoid bursa that is present between the capsule and the coracoid process of the scapula. The last, the subscapularis bursa or the subscapular bursa that is present between the capsule and the tendon of subscapularis muscle. This bursa is also called the subtendinous bursa of the scapularis. So what is the role of these bursas? The purpose of the bursa is to provide the cushion and reduce friction between hard bone tissue and adjacent soft tissue. Means it provides the cushion between the two articular surface, and also it prevents from torning or friction between these joints. The movements of the shoulder joint. There are three axes in body: the frontal axis, the sagittal axis, and the vertical axis. In the frontal axis, the movement of the shoulder joint is flexion and extension, like this. It is flexion, and if we go backward, this is extension. In sagittal axis, the movement is abduction and adduction. This is adduction and this is abduction. Adduction, abduction. In the vertical axis, the movement is the medial rotation and the lateral rotation. Medial rotation, lateral rotation. This is also called the pronation and the supination. And circumduction is also possible in the shoulder joint. Circumduction means whole movement of the shoulder joint. Here are some muscles that acts on the shoulder joint. This is very important, and please memorize this chart, as this will help you in your medical questions. Now, we have come to the last part of our topic, that is the blood supply and the nerve supply. So, blood supply of the shoulder joint are provided by three arteries. The first, anterior and posterior circumflex artery. The second is the circumflex scapular artery, and the third is the suprascapular artery, and the last, the nerve supply. The glenohumeral joint is innervated by the subscapular nerve. The subscapular nerve is from the C5 and C6. C5 and C6, that is from the brachial plexus. It is a branch of the posterior cord of the brachial plexus, and the joint capsule is supplied from various sources. Firstly, from the suprascapular nerve that supplies to the posterior and superior aspects of the scapula. This is the suprascapular nerve. This is the suprascapular nerve, provide the posterior and superior aspects of the scapula. Then the axillary nerve that innervates the anterior inferior part of the capsule. This anterior inferior part of the capsule. And the last, the lateral pectoral nerve that supplies to the anterior superior part of the rotator capsule. Here is the lateral pectoral nerve that supplies to anterior superior part of the rotator capsule. That's all for today. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel Balance MBBS. Till then, study hard, work hard, and chase your dreams. Goodbye. Have a nice day.